Yo, this is Jay from Straight Smoke Gaming, and in today's video, we're going to be doing our final video of the NFL offseason reviews. So, with the season being tomorrow, this is really the only other day to get it out. So, in this video, we're going to be talking about the AFC South. So, that's going to cover the Titans, Colts, Texans, and Jaguars. Pretty interesting division here. I would say all the teams are really, I'd say they're pretty even. I don't think there's one team that's a lot better than the other. So this should be an interesting video. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off first, you got the Tennessee Titans. They previously went 3-14, not the best year. So with that being said, they got first overall pick. They took Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's going to be good. He's under a key ad. I think he'll do just fine. I do think there will be some growing pains. He is a young quarterback, doesn't really have the best roster around him, so I would not be surprised if there is a little bit of struggling before we see Cam Ward at his full potential. Tyler Lockett, a good veteran presence to add on a young team and a good safety net for Cam Ward. Love that signing. I think he'll have a pretty good year. And then Kevin Zeitler, a good offensive lineman. You got a young quarterback who's not really known for running. Cam Ward's kind of a pocket passer, so you want to give him time in the pocket. The best way to do that is get a good offensive line. That's step one. Second's going to be play call and a good mix of run and pass. But overall, I like the moves. It wasn't really the most flashy offseason for the Titans, but I think they all had a purpose, and I think they will all help this team in the end. Taking a look at key departures, Harold Landry, good edge rusher. He left, so you're going to feel that on the defensive side of the ball. Kenneth Murray, I believe he was their starting linebacker last year. Not one of the best, but, serviceable, not bad by any means. So you're going to probably feel that too. So those top two take a big hit to your defense. And then Nick Westbrook-Akine, this is the guy, I think he went on a 7-game streak of catching touchdowns. He somehow ended up on my fantasy team last year because he was an automatic lock pretty much for a touchdown a game. But overall, I think the key adds outweigh the departures. This team is going through a rebuild, so you are going to have some turnover. And, you got to have some off seasons where it's like you're not getting the flashy guys, but you're getting the guys that are going to help you develop your young people. And that kind of felt like the off season for the Titans. Next up, the Indianapolis Colts. Colts, interesting team here. They took Anthony Richardson a couple years ago, kind of looking like they're giving up on him, as they have given Daniel Jones the starting spot to start the year. Now, Daniel Jones isn't good, so I would not be surprised if we do see Anthony Richardson at some point this year. I don't think that Daniel Jones is a lock to be the starter all year for the Colts. Plus, there also are injuries. But last year they went 8-9, so pretty average, not too bad, not too good. Landed them an earlier first-round pick. They were able to pick up Tyler Warren, who I think will be just fine and do great things with the Colts. But the other key additions they had were Travarius Ward, solid defensive back. Can't complain there. You can never have too many defensive backs. They get hurt quite a bit, so I like that move. I said Daniel Jones already. He came in as your starting quarterback, so that's definitely a key add. Cam Bynum, another good secondary. I believe he's a safety. So, pretty good mix, I would say, between offensive and defensive key adds for the Colts. I like the guys they brought in. I think this will help them in the end. Now, on the departure sides, they did lose some big names. Ryan Kelly, starting offensive lineman, that's going to hurt. I believe he was their center. That's an important piece to the offense. He's been there a couple years, one of the better centers in football, so that's going to hurt. E.J. Speed, solid linebacker that they lost, so they're going to be looking to replace him. Julian Blackman, I believe he was a safety, so they kind of replaced that with Cam Bynum. And then Julius Brents, they kind of replaced that with Travarius Ward. Not exactly sure why they moved off of Brents. I thought he showed flashes of good, but, hey, they must have seen something they didn't like. Hopefully a team picks him up because I think he's a solid corner. He is young. They used the second-round pick on him. They could develop him into something, maybe with a change of scenery. Next up, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, this is one of the most interesting off seasons, in my opinion, out of all the teams that had an off season or that actually did things. There were every team had an off season, but a lot of teams were like the Titans and didn't do much. But the Jags, they did a lot. starting off with the new head coach, Liam Cohen, coming over from the Buccaneers. Buccaneers had one of the best offenses in football last year, so I like this move. Hopefully he could fix Trevor Lawrence like he fixed Baker Mayfield, because I know that they are hoping that Trevor Lawrence will be good, considering they used the first overall pick on him. They're not just going to give up on him easy. Other key adds, though, Patrick McCarry, solid offensive lineman. You want to protect him. Going to make sense. I mean, I don't have any complaints about that move. Emmanuel Ogbah, solid defensive lineman, should help out that defense. Jordan Lewis, I believe that's a corner, helping the defense, whatever. But the big move that I'm happy for is Travis Hunter. You could play both sides of the ball. I thought there was a case that you could make for him to go first overall. He didn't. The Jags ended up trading up with the Browns, and I think the Browns were stupid. The Browns, they definitely lack wide receiver, and they passed on one of the better wide receivers in the draft. By the way, this wide receiver can also play cornerback. So, yeah, definitely an L for the Browns, in my opinion, as long as Travis Hunter pans out, which I don't see why he wouldn't. You kind of got two shots, If he's good on offense but bad on defense, you just don't play him on defense. If he's bad at offense but he's good on defense, you just play him at defense. So that's why I like the move. And then they also brought in Bashan Thuten, fast running back. Should work in well there. Key losses, though. Christian Kirk, he was hurt a lot. Evan Ingram, not really what he once was, but still good. Brandon Scherf, Mitch Morris, two offensive linemen that they're going to feel that. And then Andre Sisco, solid secondary guy. They're definitely going to feel that. They went 4-13 last year. I don't see why they couldn't do better. Next up, the Houston Texans. The Texans, they were the team that made the playoffs last year, going 10-7. And, C.J. Stroud kind of had a slump. He was not the same C.J. Stroud that we've seen in his rookie year. Still good, but definitely not what he was in his rookie year. Taking a look at key adds, Christian Kirk. Love that move because you lost Stephon Diggs. Now, is Christian Kirk definitely a downgrade from Stephon Diggs? Yes, 100%. But you're not asking him to be your one. I mean, you're looking for a 2, a 3 in a way. So I think Christian Kirk could fill that role. Cam Robinson, solid offensive lineman. This offensive line is rough. So, we're going to talk about that in the next, on the departures. But Cam Robinson, solid offensive lineman, should work in well. Sheldon Rankins, good defensive guy. I think he'll do well with them working on the interior with Will Anderson on the outside edge. So I like that signing. I think that'll make it life a little bit easier for Will Anderson. CJ GJ, don't got any problems with him. He is dealing with injury, so he's going to miss some time. Start the year on the IR, I believe. But when healthy, he's one of the better safeties in football. EJ Speed, we talked about him. You always love getting one of your division rivals guys on your team. Solid linebackers, should work in well. Lakeland Tomlinson, another offensive lineman, just not a good one. I believe he will end up starting. And then in the draft, they got guys like Jaden Higgins, Jalen Knoll, and Woody Marks. Woody Marks, we're going to be able to see him, especially with the injuries to Joe Mixon. So we should get to see what he has. They also got in Nick Chubb. I forgot to add that. He should also be the starter as well. Key departures, Laramie Tunsil, that hurts. He's one of the better tackles in football. Stephon Diggs, when healthy, one of the better wide receivers. 2's not really a 1 anymore. So that's going to hurt a little bit. And then Kenyon Green, another starting offensive lineman. So overall, Texans, I'm worried about the offensive line. I'm worried about if they can give Stroud time to throw because, they got rid of 2 starters and they brought in guys that were downgrades from what they had. And they also didn't really address it in the draft. They decided to go the wide receiver route. But overall, I think this will be a tight division. I think the Jags have a chance to be good. I think the Colts have a chance to be good. And, still the Texans, they still have the main core pieces. So should be an interesting division. But when it comes to this video, that's how we got. So if you enjoyed, please remember to like and sub for more Madden and NFL content. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.